Welcome to TRT World, I'm Semir Sejfovic, and in this week's Across the Balkans, we bring you the latest stories from the region and how countries, governments, and the population are affected. High in Slovenia's Julian Alps, a centuries-old shepherding tradition continues in Velika Planina. Visitors are drawn to this alpine haven for a glimpse of a simpler, time-honored way of life. Gökçen Ardic has more.
Just an hour from the capital, Ljubljana, high in the mountains awaits a place of pastoral tradition and an inevitable tourist attraction. Slovenian shepherds from the valley below have been making this journey on foot every summer for centuries. Today, modern visitors arrive by riding a 60-year-old cable car or hiking uphill through the forest. We met Tomaž Stefe, who oversees tourism activities at Velika Planina.
Shepherd's Village is very beautiful and very rich with cultural heritage. You will see there wooden homes that were built for shepherds after the Second World War. You will meet the shepherds and of course a lot of cows. Shepherds are still producing their dairy products, and among them it's very popular the cheese that you can find only here on Velika Planina, and its name is Trnič. Velika Planina is very popular for visitors throughout the whole year. Well, shepherds have been coming to Velika Planina since ages.
We then took a 10-minute chairlift ride to the top, where you step into crisp mountain air and a living fairy tale. Wooden huts, grazing cows, and the way of life still echoing the past. Perched above the clouds in the Slovenian Alps, Velika Planina feels like another world. One where time perhaps has slowed down, but it's catching up.
So we are in front of Shepherd's Village on Velika Planina. This one is one of the rare of this size still preserved in Europe. It's under the protection of the cultural heritage of Slovenia. Here we have 63 shepherds' huts. Owners are farmers from the valley, and they come to this village on the mountain in mid-June and stay with cattle. They come with cattle. They stay with cattle till mid-September. So interesting are these huts, which are wooden with steep roofs. You see that some start to put solar panels on the roofs to at least have maybe some electricity, because there is no electricity grid in these huts, and there is also no running water. So they are, for animals, they are capturing rainwater, and lately springs were discovered. But in the huts, no running water, no tap water, so everything is still very authentic.
Even though tourists now outnumber shepherds, culinary traditions have survived, offering everyone a taste of this alpine heritage.
Majority, or I would say more than half of milk is used for calves that are drinking mother's milk. What remains is used for dairy products, and it is mainly, we call it sour milk or cottage cheese, or they make just, cheese. This is what they sell to tourists, because really this cheese is very good, because when cows are grazing, they just know what to, they're intelligent animals, they just pick good herbs. So it's with no additives, and this shows in dairy products. So forever, also in the past, shepherds, they have been themselves eating food that can be eaten together with milk. Some mashes or polenta, something that can be combined with milk because they had milk. They didn't have in the past a lot of different things, but they had milk, so food was actually combined with that.
is typical shepherd's lunch: sour milk, ajdovi giganci, and cow's milk cheese. Young and old, so we are going to try now. The shepherds rebuilt this village in 1945 after German troops burned it to the ground during the Second World War. While the lifestyle here feels untouched by time, the modern world is creeping in. Climate shifts, shrinking pastures and pressures from tourism all pose new challenges. Yet the shepherds of Velika Planina are committed to preserving what matters. For them, tradition isn't something you visit, it's something you live every single day during summer. One hut, faithfully restored to its original oval shape, shows just how little light and comfort these homes once offered. We visited a shepherdess who guards this authentic hut. She explained what life was like for alpine shepherds in the past.
So in those times they didn't have windows, only one wooden part can move. When it was rainy they closed, when it was sunny they opened, and also because of the smoke. But anyway, smoke were going out through all holes, not just here. And for example, this stone is very important. Because of this stone, the smoke were going inside of the room, not directly of the wall. Some people say that life was difficult, but actually life is difficult if you can compare with something. But if you cannot compare, it's just life, simple one. So they were happy, they had a lot of company, they eat simple food, so they didn't think if the life is difficult or simple one.
Some worry that its growing popularity could erode what makes Velika Planina truly special. But high above the clouds, it still holds on to something rare. Not just history, but a way of life that chooses simplicity, silence, and summer on its own terms. Gökçen Ardıç, TRT World, Velika Planina, Slovenia.
Many Transylvanian villages, once home to Saxon communities, now stand empty due to decades of immigration. But one woman has returned to restore her ancestral home and revive its spirit. Adam Mamunu has more on this story.
40 years ago, Carmen Schuster did what many young people tend to do. She left the nest to explore the world. Schuster decided to migrate to West Germany in search of better economic prospects. Years later, she returned to the Transylvanian village of Cinșor in Romania to preserve what remains of its centuries-old Saxon heritage. Saxons have lived in Transylvania since the 12th century, after they were invited by Hungarian kings to settle in the region. And so her family is following in their ancestors' footsteps, but with a twist, breathing new life into historical buildings, turning them into guest houses for tourists. Before World War II, Romania boasted a Saxon population of up to 300,000. Today, there are only about 10,000. Much of the population emigrated in the 1970s and 1980s to escape the communist dictatorship of Nicolae Ceausescu. And this trend continued into the 1990s.
Every day, the consulate in Sibiu is besieged for visas by ethnic Germans fleeing to Germany. Even descendants of Saxons who settled in Transylvania in 1150 are leaving. And many get angry at any bureaucratic hold-ups to their plans.
Die Zeiten, die wir erlebt haben, die ich erlebt habe als junge Frau, unter Ceausescu mit den ganzen sozialistischen Zwängen und den ganzen kommunistischen Zwängen, die waren darauf ausgerichtet, dass das Erbe dieser Generation gelöscht wird. Und ich sage immer, es ist die Tatsache, dass man eben diese Gebäude und auch das Leben erhalten hat hier, ist ein später Sieg über diese menschenunfreundliche und menschenverachtende Haltung.
Many of the churches here are designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Hier in dem Gebiet, in dem die Sachsen lebten und leben, gibt es eine Besonderheit, die sogenannten Kirchenburgen. Das sind Kirchen, die inmitten des Dorfes stehen, aber im 15. Jahrhundert zu kleinen Burgen mit Mauern und Türmen ausgebaut wurden. Das waren Fliehburgen, Schutzburgen für die Dorfbevölkerung, wenn Feinde kamen, um zu zerstören und zu töten.
Architectural aesthetics are only part of the story, because culture also lives in people. Adrian Bushku is a cook at one of the guest houses. He plays a major role in giving guests here an authentic insight into the area's cuisine by cooking old Saxon recipes using local produce as much as he can.
Am venit în Cinșor cu gândul să dezvoltăm altă bucătărie, o bucătărie sustenabilă, să descoperim noi rețete, vechile rețete zăsești și să le punem în valoare.
Over the last few years, Transylvania has become increasingly popular with travellers for its castles and medieval bastions. A 1,400-kilometre hiking and cycling route, inspired by Spain's famous pilgrimage trail, El Camino de Santiago, the Way of St. James, has played a key role in the transformation. Britain's King Charles III has also helped shine a spotlight on the region, thanks to his well-known affection for Transylvania and his ownership of several properties there. He is even said to trace his lineage back to Vlad the Impaler, the infamous 15th century prince who inspired the legend of Dracula. Although the Schusters are promoting their unique culture, they want non-Romanians to play a role in the village's rebirth.
Doamna a încercat să integreze cam toate tipurile de persoane, români și de etnie romă. Deci nu se face o discriminare în nație, doar sași sau doar români. Nu, se lucrează toate tipurile de persoane.
As Cinșor slowly revives, it's ultimately new faces and old stories that have made it feel like home again. Adamamunu, Across the Balkans.
Once a distant threat, climate change is now a harsh reality seen in wildfires, floods, and droughts. Teda Imamovic looks at how climate change is affecting the Balkans.
Soaring temperatures on July 22nd led to wildfires across the Balkans. In Bulgaria, large wildfires near the capital Sofia have damaged at least 10 properties and prompted evacuations. Kostimrod municipality declared a partial state of emergency in 3 villages.
Беше страшно. Имаше пламъци над 3 метра, тук на порядък от 100 метра. Добре, че бяха пожарникарите да са живи и здрави.
This drone footage and thermal imaging shows the extent of wildfire and active wildfire spots in Albania. Firefighters had to get aircraft assistance from Italy and Greece to battle 2 of them. In Kosovo, flames and smoke could be seen approaching houses. The blaze in the western town of Istok burned around 200 hectares of land, but did not result in injuries according to officials. Authorities said the response was successful and stopped the flames from reaching Dubrava jail, the country's largest prison. Weeks without rain almost emptied the Fiers Lake on the border between Kosovo and Albania. Cows ate grass from what used to be the bottom of the lake. Scorching heat also hit Montenegro, where many rushed to the beaches to find relief.
To vidite, sad sam ti mokar, jedva čekam pod klimu da uđem. Izgore se. Definitivno, zadnjih dana baš. I more je pošlo na 28 i više ne možeš ti more ovladiti.
In North Macedonia, the government has banned entry into forests until the end of August to prevent wildfires, threatening fines of over $2,000 for violations. For those who have to work outdoors, bearing the heat is the most difficult.
Летно време е малку потешко, затоа што дополнително на прашината имаме и високи температури, некогаш и плюс 40, како што е денеска. Се разбира, ние се обидуваме да избегнеме, значи да стигнеме до моментот на 40 во текот на денот, затоа работиме од 5 часот наутро па до 11, затоа што до 11 и на ниво на држава ни е забрането да се работи на отворен простор, затоа што UV зрачењето е енормно и е штетно по здравјето на сите, на целиот тим, значи, не само на археолозите.
Construction teams in Kosovo found a solution by working at night, when temperatures are a bit more bearable than during the daytime.
Ora tani është 4:40 minuta, ndërsa ne kemi filluar me punime nga ora 3:30 e mëngjesit për shkak të punimeve, për shkak të temperaturave të larta që janë, që është edhe një urdhër nga Ministria e Transportit rrugor që mos të punohet në temperatura të larta. Ne ndrimin e natës që kemi filluar punojmë për shkak edhe të punëtorëve që mos t'i vijë nxehtë, por edhe për shkak të maqinerisë që është koha më e ftofshme, është më e mirë.
Greece's most visited ancient site, the Acropolis, stood empty, as temperatures were expected to climb 43 degrees. Tourists were kept away from ruins. It's clear the need for immediate action on climate change is more pressing than ever to safeguard lives and the environment for future generations. Tejde Imamovic, Across the Balkans.
Albania's coast is vanishing from rising sea to eroding shores. Semir Sejfovic explores how nature and development are reshaping the coastal line and what it means for the future.
Rising sea levels are reshaping the Albanian seashore, from the pine forests of Velipoja in the north to the bustling tourist hub of Durrës in the south. The climate crisis and unregulated development are quietly redrawing the country's natural borders. One of the most symbolic victims of this transformation was the island of Franz Josef, a name still vivid in the memory of local fishermen and once listed in tourist guides, now submerged beneath the waters of the Buna River and erased from the landscape.
Këtu ka kanë ishulli Franz Josefit, 100% nga ndryshu e gjitha. Ja, diku më anaj atje, para 2-3 vjeç kërë një ishull tjetër, por edhe atë e zhduku para një vitit, si me thonë, e manë 2 vjet, edhe e hek pastaj prap.
It is projected that by 2030 over 1,080 square kilometers of coastal habitat could be at risk of flooding. Without stronger regulation and targeted environmental interventions, Albania risks losing vital parts of its natural heritage.
Behind me, the waters of the Buna River now hide what once was the island of Franz Josef, a lush bird-filled paradise named by Austro-Hungarian cartographers in the 19th century. Since 2014, this 19.5-hectare island has completely disappeared, swallowed by the rising sea levels and intensified erosion. Experts say human interference like dam construction sealed its fate.
Erosioni në përgjithësi, I cili në segmentet e caktuara godet vijën pregëtare, krijon një erozion jashtëzakonisht shumë të madh dhe pikërisht pika delikate për sektorin e bregetit të Velipojës ku ndodhemi ne aktualisht ka qenë pikërisht delta e Bunës. Në 2015 kanë qenë momentet e fundit të ekzistencës së këtij ishulli dhe pastaj ka ndryshuar I gjithë konfiguracioni I deltës së Bunës në përgjithësi. Mungesa e sedimenteve, ndërhyrja shpesh pa kriter në rrjetin hidrografik, në rrjetet e lumeve, marrja e këtyre sedimenteve nuk bën gjë tjetër vetëm se prish ekuilibrat e caktuar natyror dhe pastaj hasemi pikërisht me këto fenomene negative në territor.
In Velipoja, the sea now advances over 5 meters inland every year, transforming coastal forests into marine graveyards. Waves are gnawing at century-old pines, toppling them one storm at a time. In recent decades, Albania has seen a rapid expansion of small hydropower plants along its upper river streams. While these projects have brought notable economic benefits, they are now causing long-term consequences for river flows and environment, sealing the fate of once thriving downstream ecosystems. The situation is even more alarming further south, in the coastal city of Durrës, which is quite literally running out of ground.
Here in Durrës, the coastline is vanishing nearly 70 meters, lost in just 16 years. The rapid and uncontrolled urbanization with hotels and restaurants built right up to the shore is accelerating erosion and weakening natural defenses. As sea levels rise, the battle between concrete and nature is threatening not just the environment, but also the future of Albania's tourism economy.
Construction along the coastline has surged, often without proper planning or environmental oversight.
Sot jemi në një paralelizëm, jemi në një kamion që po ecë me 200 km/h dhe në momentin që do frenoj për inerci do vazhdoj ky fenomen. Pra është e njëjta gjë. Me erozionin që ne shohim sot, nëse sot fillojmë të marrim masa, do shohim që impakti i këtyre masave inxhinierike do të jetë pas një dekade, pasi nuk mund të shohim masa të menjëhershme ose impakt të menjëhershëm, pikërisht për fakti që ka fshim një erozion kaq të avancuar, saqë do duhet fillim ndalimi dhe më pas rekuperimi i gjithë territorit.
Sand dunes and coastal forests are nature's shield against erosion. Once they are replaced by concrete, the coast becomes extremely vulnerable. What we are witnessing is the collapse of an entire natural defense system. From Velipoja in the north to Durrës in the south, Albania's coastline is under siege, not only from the sea but also from within. Unless urgent action is taken to regulate construction and restore nature's barriers, Albania's coast and the livelihoods built upon it may soon exist only in memory. Semir Sejfovic, Across the Balkans, Durrës.
In Rozaje, Montenegro, one man is preserving the spirit of Ottoman-era bazaars. Edip Šaljić has turned his home into a museum of tradition and history. Mirjana Miladinovic reports.
They say identity is not what you inherit, but what you preserve. In the Montenegrin town of Rozaje, one man built more than just a room. He built a bridge between centuries. Edip Šaljić, an academic and a guardian of tradition, has turned a corner of his home into a living memory, a space he calls simply the Alla Turka room.
Ova soba je za mene, da napravim jednu paradigmu, nešto između mezara predaka i emaneta koje imamo prema potomcima. A to između predaka i naših potomaka smo mi. I ova soba za mene nije ništa manje, već identitet. Vremena je trebalo dosta. Ne u smislu zidova i opremanja, ali više od toga mi je trebalo vremena da ja osjetim da sam dobio ambijent u kojem uživam. Neke sam kupovao, neke sam dobio na poklon, neke šetajući internetom vidim, stupim u komunikaciju, ljudi mi jave, neko prodaje.
Each and every one of them has a special value to him.
Prelja koja je iza mene. To je prelja od moje rahmetlinane. Nanu koju ja nisam zapamtio, ali koju pamtim kroz priču. Žena koja je bila jaka, žena koja je bila mudra, koja je bila mekteb za cijelu mahalu, koja je učila tu djecu veri, tradiciji. I kad gledam nju, odmah vidim staru, hrabru, jaku ženu, ne biram očima, biram srcem.
Because of that, he believes that whoever comes feels it too.
Svi dođu bučni, izađu tihi. Tako da svi kad dođu ovdje osjete da pripadaju ovom tlu. Osjete da mi pripadamo ovdje, da su naši djedovi živjeli ovdje. Ovo je cijela čaršija u malom, nekadašnja čaršija. Tako da ja ovdje ne dolazim, ja se ovdje vraćam. Vraćam se radi sebe, radi svoje duše, vraćam se da dopunim baterije, da dobijem snagu za nešto novo.
Edip's next vision is larger, to build a cultural space with reading rooms, sleeping areas, a full traditional archive.
Rožajci su poznati po tome da su primali sve izbeglice. Sandžaklije su poznate po tome da smo primali misafire čak i onda kada nismo imali dovoljno za svoje porodice. Ako Bog da ubrzo, nadam se da će ubrzo i to zaživjeti ovdje.
Some of the items he brought or he got like a present from Turkey. The ones he put in the room he knows were used in this region.
Neko ko nema dovoljno znanja će reći sad to ne pripada Bošnjacima, sad to je tuđa kultura. Ne, to je ono što su, mi kažemo hošgeldin, oni kažu hošgeldin, mi kažemo bujrum, oni kažu bujrum. Naše nane, majke nose iste šamije, isti nakid, ista ili slična nam je kuhinja, čak i ti alat, oruđe. Mi s tim ljudima mislim da ne postoje dva naroda, da su isti damar, kao što smo mi i Turci. Mi ovdje baštinimo nešto što više pripada Turcima nego nama, a što su oni zaboravili. Bujrum!
Local officials see Edip's room as an opportunity.
Možda u nekim dijelovima grada ili možda nekih porodica više ima tog običaja i tradicije nego možda i u samoj Turskoj. Tako da to je jedan dovoljan razlog da pozovemo i turske turiste da dođu kod nas da vide jednostavno kako su njihovi preci nekad boravili i vladali u ovom kraju, da istraže tu našu istoriju, odnosno našu njihovu istoriju.
He believes more tourists from Turkey would visit Rozaje if they knew.
Očekujem da vlasnik ovog kažem, dijela i ovog entuzijazma koji je dao sebi za pravo i snage ovoliko da sačuva ovoliku zbirku ovih eksponata, da će proširiti i da će ovo postati dostupno za šire mase ljudi, tako da može biti ovo jedan jako dobar motiv za dolazak i boravak turista iz Turske.
A kad otvorimo ova vrata, ja se osjećam kao da sam ušao u neki drugi svijet. Kao da sam ušao u svijet gdje se kahva pije sporije, gdje srce kuca sporije.
Sometimes preserving identity doesn't take grand monuments. It takes intention, memory and love. Mirjana Mladinović, Across the Balkans, Rozaje, Montenegro.
Thank you for watching TRT World and letting us once again take you across the Balkans. That is all from the team for this week. We hope to see you next time.